I first got this illness 20 years ago. I was basically moving over to London to take up casual work. But the day of actually traveling over to London, I basically woke up to a living nightmare that is schizophrenia. Trust me, it's the most distressing, persecutory illness you can possibly imagine. A literal living nightmare when you first get this illness, schizophrenia. There's no better description of it than that. Anyway, I was moving over to London, and the morning of waking up, I woke up, my brain was basically in the middle of a nightmare. It was extremely distressing, all to do with God and the devil, all to do with darkness and people under the force of darkness messing with my mind, interfering with me. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people who I were interacting with were involved in this bizarre experience. They were all basically, a lot of them were dressed in black, and I believe that they were under the influence of the devil. Anyway, I was being persecuted by these interactions, and my experience was extremely distressing. I was in that dream-like state, a nightmare, for intensely for 3 days. I did proceed to go to London, and I was in this bizarre experience. I was getting messages from God to fulfill certain spiritual tasks, some of which I did succeed in doing. I was bizarrely kind of being guided by spiritual forces to some degree, but the devil was tormenting me and getting at me as well. By day 3 in London, I was basically starting to crack up. I was in an extremely distressed state, persecuted by the devil, tormented, and I basically just got myself admitted to a psychiatric hospital in London. But whilst in hospital, I was not getting much relief. I was still persecuted. I was being disturbed by other patients in the hospital. So I got myself discharged, but still I would continued in this psychotic state, dream-like state, a nightmare. It still proceeded for the following 5-6 weeks while I was in London. I was getting a lot of messages from God to fulfill certain spiritual tasks, a lot of which I was succeeding and achieving, doing a certain amount of things that I have to do, believing I have to do. But it was an extremely distressing experience. Look, what I will mention is like how bizarre schizophrenia is. I come from a middle class background, and like despite having money in my pocket when I was over in London that time, I was actually, because of schizophrenia, for about 5 or 6 days, I was actually sleeping on the streets, whether that's in maybe parks in West London or down by Victoria Station. Or it was just a horrible, horrible experience. You know, I was just really totally absorbed by this illness, schizophrenia. But it's extremely distressing. It's extremely tough. Basically, you know, I, 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 I tried to get things done. Look, by the end of 5-6 weeks in London, you can understand. I was deeply disturbed. I was cracking up. I returned to Dublin then. You know, I was rather paranoid, stressed, and disturbed. I was in and out of psychiatric hospitals. Trust me, the medication, it may have reduced some level of anxiety, but it did not resolve the problem at all. That's the truth. I basically, look, psychiatry wasn't, like, I had a lot of spiritual paranoia, a lot of disturbed thinking, a lot of paranoid thinking. Uh, Psychiatry, it's not a silver bullet, you know, for solving this problem exactly. It does, like, I do believe in medication, but don't, and this is a message to parents really, don't think medication is a silver bullet and it's going to solve the problem like that. It will not. It's more of a holistic approach. There's a lot of things involved to help you get your balance back. I was very unwell myself for quite a period of time, but now where I'm at now is I'm doing a lot better. I am on medication. It is keeping me balanced. I'm not where I stand now, where I'm in a balanced state of mind. I'm not going to rock the boat and come off the medication, but I just do say, don't think it's just going to be resolved like that. Schizophrenia is a serious mental illness. It is a illness that is very, very challenging and very difficult and tough to put up with. But you have to be supportive. You have to be caring and understanding of the difficulties that your son or daughter are going through. Because trust me, this is an extremely tough illness, but it can and will be overcome. But you just have to, you know, keep it together and keep the head, and you will get through it. Have trust me,